Hello students, today's agenda is to check homework. We'll be graphing systems from scenarios, and today you will be able to work on 4.5b. Today students will be able to solve system of equations by graphing using the X and Y intercepts. And we're going to be working with some fractions for the intercepts. Okay, some of you know this as the viscous. Okay, so the X and Y intercepts. And so it says, we're going to be working with some price problems. So it says, let's say you're buying bird meat for a party. If you want to omit that, you can just say, for a party, Rosa brings 2 chickens and 1 turkey. She had spent $20. Diana brings 3 chickens and 2 turkeys. She had spent $35. If they went to the same store, how much does a chicken cost and how much does a turkey cost? So Rosa buys 2 chickens and 1 turkey and spends $20. Diana buys 3 chickens, 2 turkeys and spends $35. Okay, so those are going to be the information for our 2 equations. So for Rosa, I'm just going to put X for chickens and Y for turkeys, which is not really turkeys, but the price of each turkey, the price of each chicken, because we already know that the 2 is the one that represents the number of chickens. So 2X plus 1Y, if you want to put the 1, we don't need to put it, but if you feel that you need to put that 1, the 1 represents the turkey and Y represents the price of the turkey. And the total price is 20. For Diana, it's going to be 3X, the 3 chickens multiplied by the price of the chickens, plus 2Y, the 2 turkeys multiplied by the price of each turkey, and together, all together is $35 for those. To find or to be able to graph, I'm going to be finding the X and Y intercepts. So I just say viscous is like, you know, when you have somebody look at the nose, which is right here, the pupils, I just put the 0, 0. Why? Because for the X intercept, Y equals 0. For the Y intercept, X equals 0. Okay, so having this in mind, if I want to find the value of X, all I have to do, replace Y with 0. So basically that term disappears, and 20 divided by 2 is 10. Then I do the same thing for the other, and you know what, I just realized that we might need a calculator, so I might have to go and get it. In here, Y is just 20. So now I have the X-intercept and the Y-intercept for the first equation, of the system. So 10, 0 is going to be 10, 0, it's right here. 0, 20 is 0 on X and then 20 on Y. And I connect those 2 points. Okay. For the next one, I'm going to do the same thing. And this is, I'm using, because the equation is in standard form, meaning that X and Y are on this side of the equal sign. That's called standard form of the equation. So that's why I'm using the intercepts, where you have 0 for Y and 0 for X. And that gives me the intercepts, the point that lies on the axis. And so if Y is 0, the whole term disappears, and so 35 divided by 3 gives me, I already did this, but it's 11 and 2/3. thirds. How do you do that? 35 divided by 3, 35 divided by 3, 3 goes into 3 once, 1 times 3 is 3, you subtract it and bring down the 5. The 3 goes into 5 one time, 1 times 3 is 3, subtract and you get 2, and that goes up here, and the divisor goes over here. So that's how I got 11 and 2/3. Okay, so it's just a quick review of fractions. Now, if x is 0, that disappears, and then I divide 35 by 2. It just means, when you're dividing by 2, it just means half of that. So half of 35 is 17 and 1/2. 17 and a half. If you prefer decimals, this will be 11.666666 forever. And this will be 17.5, whichever you prefer, fraction or decimal. They're both perfectly fine for me. Okay. Okay, so for the other line, I'm going to do 17 and a half. I mean, this one first. 11 and 2/3. It shouldn't matter, but 11, that's 10, that's 12, so 11 is right here. 2/3 is like cutting this into 3 equal parts, and that's where my dot is. And then the other one is 17 and a half, so 17 and half of the next one, so it's right there. And so I'm connecting the two intercepts, the x-intercept with the y-intercept. Now, when we have decimals, it's going to be really hard to really see where they meet, okay? It looks like it's somewhere around here. And so, since it's cost, it could be a decimal. You know how this is money? Money can be decimals as well. But what I want you to do for this exercise, and it's to just give me the closest value you think it is. So it looks like it's going to be 5 and 10. 5 for x, meaning that's the cost of chickens, and 10, because it aligns with a 10, for turkey. So that's the cost of turkeys. How much does the chicken cost? $5. How much does a turkey cost? $10. And if you want, you can just put a question mark, just because these are decimals and sometimes it can be really hard. Now I'm using pen and these are very thin, so that was a little more helpful, but earlier I was doing with marker and that was really hard to identify those points. Okay, what else do I want to share about this? Oh, yes. The reason for this lesson is so that you can see that sometimes we might have questions and answers might not be accurate. So we're going to be learning later on other methods of figuring out the answer where the two lines would meet, or the solution of these scenarios, okay? And they're coming up pretty soon, actually. Okay, in this next one, again, you can omit what I was crossing out, but I'm gonna read the whole. But when you write it down, if you want, you can just remove this. So it says, in the game Super Mario, red and blue coins are worth different amounts. 3 red coins and 2 blue coins are worth 16 gold. 6 red coins and 1 blue coin is worth 17 coins. So that's going to give me my two equations. I can put x for the red and y for the blue. X and y. And so 3 red ones, meaning 3x, plus 2y is going to be equal to 16 gold. And the other one is 6 red, so 6x, and 1 blue. You can omit the 1 or you can keep it. Okay, it's going to be equals to 17. Again, we're going to find the X intercept and the Y intercept. Okay, so if Y is 0, for the X intercept, Y is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. So when you add 0, that basically disappears. And so 16 divided by 3. Okay, how much is that? How many times is the 3 going to 16? 5 times, because 5 times 3 is 15, and you have 1 left, so you just put 1 over 3. Or you can just do the division. Let me do it here. You can do it directly as I just did, or you just say 3 into 16 goes 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. Subtract, and you have 1 left, which goes up here, and the divisor down here. Okay, again, that's a review. When X is 0, that disappears, and so 16 divided by 2 is 8. So now I have the intercepts for the first equation, 5 and 1/3. So it's gonna be for 5 and 1/3 right here. Then that means that I have 5 whole squares, and then the next one you just cut it into 3 equal parts, and you put the decimal point here. For Y, this is 8, so I just place it there. And then I'm gonna look for the other intercepts. Oh, not before I connect this one though. Okay, so again I put the viscose or crossed-eyed. Okay, when this is x, y, when y is 0, that disappears, and so 17 divided by 6. How many times does the 6 go into 17? 2 times. 2 times 6? 12. 12, how many are more for 17? 5 more. And you just put whatever we're dividing by down here. Okay, if not, just remember to do the division. And so it's 17 divided by 17 divided by 6. Okay, for the next one, x is 0. So y is 17 divided by 1 is 17. So 2 and 5/5. 5/5 is almost a whole. So it's going to be 2 whole ones plus almost the entire part of the next square. It's right there. And then 0, 17 is right there. I connect the points. And my solution, again, this could be a question mark. It's, let's see, how many, I'm assuming that this is whole number, so we'll see. So, because it looks like it's a little higher than that, but it's because we're placing, it's not as accurate, okay? It's not as an exact. So I'm thinking that it might be 2, and it aligns to 5 on y. So x is, I go down, it's 2. Y is right here, which is between 4 and 6, which is 5. Again, why are we putting a question mark? Because we don't know if it's meeting exactly. Graphs are not as accurate. Okay, this is one more. It says Daisy bought 3 chocolate chips cookies and 5 macadamia cookies. She paid $3.55. Edward bought 10 chocolate chips and 2 macadamia cookies. He paid $4.50. How much are chocolate chip cookies and how much are macadamia cookies? So 3x, we're gonna say chocolate chips cookies are x and macadamia y. It's gonna be 3x plus 5y equals 355. For this one, I used a calculator when I divided, okay, because it's decimals. You can still do it by hand. Maybe I'll do one by hand, but the rest I recommend you using a calculator. The next one is 10 chocolate cookies, chocolate chip cookies, plus 2 macadamia, and he paid $4.50. For my intercepts, I put the 0, 0, like if these are eyes and then the pupils are going like this, looking in the middle, looking at the nose. So this is X, this is Y, this is X, this is Y. So when Y is 0, this disappears. And so 3.55 divided by 3, let me do it right here so that we can just review division of decimals. When we have decimals inside, it's okay. It doesn't affect. When we have decimals outside, we have to move the decimal. But in here, it's just, how many times is the 3 going to 3? 1. 1 times 3 is 3. Subtract, and you get 0. Bring the decimal up, and then bring the 5 down. How many times is the 3 going to 5? It goes 1 time. 1 times 3 is 3. Subtract, and you get 2. Yikes. Then I bring down the 5. How many times is the 3 going to 25? It's 8. 3 times 8 is 24. And you have 1 left. Sorry about that. And you add a 0. How many times is the 3 going to 10? 3. 3 times 3 is 9, and you have 1 left. So it's going to continue now because you have 1 left, 1 left. It's going to be 0.18333333 forever. Okay, you can round up to the tenths, and so that's gonna because this is bigger than 5, adds 1 in here, so it's gonna be 1.2. Okay, for this one we have x equals 0. So now it's going to be 3.55 divided by 5. I'm not going to do the division. I'm just going to give you the answer. And the answer that we got rounded, it's actually 0.71. But I'm going to put here just 0.7. We're going to round to the tenths. Okay, we have the first one. So you see how I had to decide if it would be ideal to do 0.1 for each square, but I didn't have enough space. So we have to decide on how to distribute the units, okay, which is what we did last quarter a lot. So in here I have 1.2. Since it's 4, 0.5 is for 4 squares, so this is 2.5. 0.25, and so that means that it will be for 0.2 is around here. Again, it's not very accurate. For the next one is 0.7. So this is 0, 0, okay? So this is 5. This will be ideal if it was 0.6, 0.7, but it's not. This is 0.75, so it's a little less than that, so maybe around here. And I draw my line in there. For the next one, I do my viscous, my intercepts. So if y is 0, 4.50 divided by 10, all I do when I'm dividing or multiplying by 10 is just move the decimal. It's 1 space, so it's going to be 0.45. The next one is, I put it in here, $4.50 divided by 2 is just half of that, so it's $2.25. So now I have my 2 points. This is 0.45. If this is 0.5, 0.45 is like a little around there, okay, more or less. 2.25 is 2 1/4, so it's right there. Okay, so this is my line, and you can see that it's not exactly at a corner of 4 squares, so that makes it even a little bit more hard. I'm gonna give you the answers, but first guess what that will be. What would that be? Remember that this is not 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, so that makes it even harder just because of how I had to choose my units. Okay, so where does it align with X, and where does it align with Y? Kind of like that. Well, for the Y, it looks like pretty much is up 0.5, right? But what about for X? Well, now hopefully you guessed. If not, pause the video because now I'm gonna give you the answer. The answer is 35 cents. I know it's hard to guess right there. So what does that mean? Chocolate chip cookies are 35 cents each. Macadamia cookies are 50 cents each. Okay, so now that you have seen this video, you're now able to do 4.5b, and remember that there's going to be a different way to figure out these answers, so this is not as accurate, and well, do 4.5b. Have fun.